At the end of last season of ASG, I talked about why Deathloop deserved Game of the Year at the Game Awards with a special mention to Psychonauts 2. I felt that all of the options for this award were ones that deserved it, but with one exception. Because from what I had seen and heard, I felt that It Takes Two, while good, was simply a tier below the other options. So imagine my surprise when It Takes Two ended up taking home the award. I was mad for the rest of the night, but after I started to cool down, I recognized that I hadn't played this game myself and wondered if it was really that good. So I recruited my good friend Abby to play with me and make an It Takes review.
Hello.
And I'll be interspersing their thoughts in throughout the video. I'm aware I went into this with some negativity, but I tried to stay as neutral as possible, and Abby had no such bias going into it, so I don't think we let the Game Awards get in the way of our opinions. It Takes Two is a puzzle adventure game, where you and your partner must work together in order to solve various challenges. They give you various different tools depending on the level and which character you are. But there's a big problem here. All of these individual concepts don't stay around for that long, and none of them get expanded very much. Let's compare this to something like Portal 2, for example. They stick with the portal gun the whole time, and they add lasers and reflectors and different kinds of gels and way more, and all of these systems interact with each other, particularly with the portal. Portal 2's mechanics stay relevant the whole game and continue to add variety, but not a single one of the concepts in It Takes Two lasts very long before being thrown away forever. They did the one pipe thing. I'm like, hey, this could be pretty cool. One room this puzzle was used.
Dropped forever. Falls off the face of the earth. Every concept is that way.
So in the end, it feels like a lot of okay games Frankenstein together instead of one really good one. Which is a shame because some of what it has is actually really cool. Like this one segment where you fly on a fidget spinner, and I know that sounds weird, but it controls like a dream. But me and Abby finished this segment in 2.5 minutes, and then it never comes up again. It's not bad, but it's not as deep and polished as the games it was up against were. Before we get to my other main point, I want to rapid fire some various things. The soundtrack is really bland, actually. I'm using music from other games for this video because this game's soundtrack is just that boring. Do you remember a single music track from this game?
Nope. And I had the voices off. So if anybody's noticing the soundtrack, it would have been me.
It's a solid 10 to 12 hour long game, so if you're enjoying it, then you're getting a lot of content. But if you're like me and Abby, it drags on at certain points.
You mentioned this briefly while we were playing, Nikki. A lot of the things that the characters say are solving the puzzles for you.
Yeah, they're solving the puzzles for you with the dialogue. I'm about to say, oh, what if we try this? And one of the characters like, hey, what if we try this? I'm like, son of a, I figured it out! The split screen is for both local co-op and online play, and I see the appeal, but I'm not a fan of it. Instead of needing to communicate your point of view and actually cooperate, you could just see both screens, and therefore both points of view. Lastly, the game was mostly pretty easy, but there were a few weird difficulty spikes.
The boss fight with the monkey got very difficult for me for some reason.
I was just making my way through the thing, and then I looked over and I just saw like Death Wish Snatcher, A Hat in Time. There's more stuff that I like, but it's really minor. Like, the acting is really good, but that can only go so far. Now we get to the other main talking point. The story. So we follow Cody and May, a married couple who clearly don't get along and are planning on divorcing. They tell their daughter, Rose, who then goes off and cries on some dolls she made that look like her parents and asks a love advice book to help them stay friends. And then the parents become the dolls, the book comes to life and tells them they need to fix their relationship in order to get back to normal. The problem though is that Cody and May are not likable characters. They blame each other for every little thing that goes badly, hardly admit they ever did anything wrong, and instead deflect the conversation to the other person's failings. They rarely have a productive conversation about their relationship, and we never really get reasons for wanting them to stay together. And then there is this f***ing book.
Okay, the book is terrible.
The book sucks.
I hate that. I hate the book.
They try to play the book like some wise sage that he simply isn't, as he forces them into couples therapy that they don't consent to, and even causes some of their arguments by delaying their progress. And with the accent and body movements, I can't tell if this is supposed to be a parody, or a stereotype, or what angle they're going for here. And the tone of the game is weird too. There are a few scenes that would be really disturbing for a kid to see, like the parents literally destroying their own kids' toys. And yet it won Best Family Game at the Game Awards? How? They kinda get better in the second half when we see how these two fell in love at all, but this should have been done way earlier. They hardly go into detail with it, and they only partially address any of the issues that made them want to get divorced at all. I don't have the time to go in depth, and if I did, I would go into a lot more detail about more problems I have with the plot. but if you want specifics, there are a lot of posts that go into the details. So in conclusion, because of the average gameplay, terrible narrative, and lack of anything big enough to make up for it, the highest score I can give this game is 4 books of love out of 10. There are a few really cool moments, but it has no real substance to carry it the whole way. So on a scale from 1 to 10.
3.
3. That is actually high. That is higher than I thought you'd get it. Full transparency, for the second half of the game I just watched the playthrough, me and Abby could only do 4 out of the 7 chapters because we weren't having fun. But I have seen the rest of the gameplay and the narrative, and from my observations, the issues still persist. If I have made it over halfway through the game, I feel that that is enough to make an informed decision. Looking online, it is clear that our opinion is in the vast minority, because you can easily find tons of people singing its praises. But I just don't get it, and I haven't seen anybody really address my points, so I personally can't recommend it, but do what you will. It's your choice at the end of the day. That's all for this It Takes review. I'll see you guys next time.